Did you know that for this movie, Arthur Fleck performed stand-up at Pogo's Comedy Club in Gotham? Pogo the Clown was the stage name of real-life professional clown and serial killer John Wayne Gacy. So I remember seeing Joker when it came into theaters in 2019, and I just remember the feelings I felt during the movie and it's also after the movie, and just how it really gave me a uncomfortable feeling, but the movie also just really got in my head and like messed with me psychologically. And I have three things that I loved about this movie, and my last thing is definitely my favorite. So the first thing I loved about this movie is I liked the story and the mood that this movie gave us. The mood was very just dark, very psychologically disturbing. Also, it gave you a kind of a sense of just pity for Arthur. You can kind of relate to Arthur. I mean, he's a relatable character. Everyone has a bad day. Everyone feels depressed at times. Some people sadly grew up with abusive parents, abusive upbringing. I mean, he's meant to be pretty much like every one of us is a normal person. There's nothing really special about Arthur. The thing I loved about this movie is he wasn't really out to make any kind of changes, right? He was just out there to tell people his story, and it was the people who decided that he actually was kind of a symbol at the end. The story also tackled the Joker in a different way. We've seen a few different portrayals of the Joker, but this one was different. This one is completely set apart from the others because most of the Jokers that we've seen, he's maniacal, he's crazy, he does wild, brutal things. Like, he's already reached that point of like he's full-blown gone. But this Joker, we get to see a different side, more of a broken individual, a delusional individual. The best part of this movie was Joaquin Phoenix's performance. He did a lot of research. He's done a lot of interviews where he's talked about how he got into the mindset of the Joker. He said the hardest thing about the Joker was actually nailing the laugh. Apparently he went out and he talked to people who suffer from some kind of syndrome where they just laugh out of nowhere, and he wanted to model his Joker laugh after people who suffer from this syndrome. That's like the iconic signature for the Joker. He definitely went the method route. He lost tons of weight. The role of the Joker has always driven people to craziness, to madness. Joaquin wasn't afraid to dive in, and he was incredible. This performance by Joaquin is definitely his best to date, in my opinion, but this movie just walked away with so many awards. It really makes you feel something. You really do feel sad and a lot of pity for Arthur, but at the same time you know where he's headed. So you have to kind of balance those feelings. Hats off to Joaquin because, man, he nailed this role. And then I'd say my favorite scene in the movie, I gotta say it's probably the talk show scene at the very end with Maury. Just because you got two greats on screen, you got Joaquin Phoenix and you got Robert De Niro, but it's where you finally get to see Joker at his peak. Like, Arthur is finally like transforming completely into Joker on live TV, exactly how he wanted it to go. It's like a dream come true to him, right? Because he's very delusional throughout most of the movie, and one of his illusions was to get on that show and tell people his life story and, you know, call out the system and do all these sorts of things to create, you know, anarchy basically is what he was aiming at. And he finally gets that dream. He gets on the show and he's not ashamed anymore. Like, he's incredibly brave now because he knows who's listening. He knows that there are people out there who can relate, who can understand him and will take action. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if Maury is like telling him not to say these things, like saying it's inappropriate and all this stuff. It just gets to the point in the talk show where you know something bad's about to happen, and anyone who's seen this movie knows what happens to Maury on the show, and that was the nail in the coffin. That was the final thing Arthur needed to do to transform fully into Joker, and there's a cool little tie-in to Bruce Wayne and Batman. So it was a really amazing ending, just a solid ending all the way around. So I highly recommend, if you haven't seen this movie in a while, check it out again because we got Joker Folie à Deux coming out in October, and I'm excited for that one, and I can't wait to see it, and I'm going to post that review as soon as I possibly can. So for Joker, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 Mudflaps, and remember, leave me a thumbs up and drop in the comments below. Who's your favorite Joker? See you next time.